Hello learners, welcome to this session on selection of research topic. Today, myself, Professor Swati Patra, and along with me, my colleague, Professor Ritu Sharma, we will be discussing about how to select a research topic. As you know, research process, it involves various stages. The first stage involves deciding about a particular research topic, how to finalize a topic. So we will be discussing about what are the various factors that affect this process of deciding or finalizing on a research topic. Now, when we conduct research, there are different phases or different goals of conducting a research. For example, we talk about to describe about a particular phenomenon, or we also talk about explaining things or predicting particular things or application of a particular thing that we study. So when we decide about a particular research topic, we also need to focus on what are the things that we want to highlight. Whether are we going to study a particular topic, describe that particular phenomenon, or explain that particular phenomenon, or we want to aim for prediction or application. We want to focus on the application of a certain phenomenon or topic or concept. Okay. So these are the different aspects which we need to keep in mind while we are deciding about a particular research topic. Because whenever we are going to decide on a research topic, we need to keep in mind that it has to be relevant and it has to be research worthy also. Okay. For example, suppose we want to study the level of stress in older population on retirement. Okay. Now, this is a topic where if we just simply focus on describing the level of stress, that is, our goal is to describe that. Okay. Or if we want to go for the explanation of this thing, that why older people on retirement, they face these kind of stress. Okay, so we are explaining or finding out cause and effect relationship, that these are the factors that affect the level of stress of this population. Okay, or we want to go for the prediction that, okay, these are the factors that might predict the level of stress in the older population on retirement. Or we can also say that the application based, that, okay, these are the stress on the factors that affect the stress of this population, then we can find out what are the coping strategies they can employ. So that is application based. So these are the different ways in which whenever we are conducting a research and deciding on a particular topic, we can focus on. So research is a very systematic process actually. Okay.
Coming down to research, we have to understand this, that research is something which is very systematic. When we say systematic, which means there is a blueprint that you make. You predefine what do you want to do and what are the steps that you're going to follow. We can't just not decide things and plan things and not plan things and then just work out the research. We have to pre-plan every step. What is going to be our sample? What is going to be our tool? The entire sample description, which includes inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, and then how are we going to collect the sample, the data from the sample, how are we going to analyze it, and what are the conclusions that we are going to get. Also, when we say it is evidence-based, that means whatever you are, while we are conducting a research, we are testing a hypothesis. A hypothesis is something which is, which is a tentative statement by the researcher, which is put under test through the research. So when we say it is evidence-based, means you are collecting a data of research which has already been conducted. You are concluding what is tentative expectation of the results that you expect from the sample, and then you are conducting your research based on your results. After analysis of results, you're concluding that, okay, this is my hypothesis and it has been rejected or accepted. Mm-hmm. The second important aspect, Swati ma'am will also agree on that. We are either studying the relationship between the variables while we are conducting a research. This is, again, we have to predefine. Mm-hmm. Relationship between A and B, like we said, the stress and retirement of individuals, we can study that. We can study difference gender difference between the two samples. Suppose male and female, how male is taking retirement to be, how females are taking retirement to be. This can be a gender difference that one can study. We can also study the impact or effect of a particular variable on the other variable. And a lot of times as a psychologist, we are to predict future behavior. For instance, if there's an epidemic, what are the expectations that, how will people or how will individuals react to it? So this is a form of prediction. Another important aspect is the purpose of research. Like I said, whether you're trying to study relationship, or you're trying to study difference, or you're trying to study impact or effect, or you're trying to study the prediction, or you're trying to make a prediction out of it. So these are various aspects which you need to consider before you plan or conduct a research altogether. So like we have already described, your study can be based on a description. You want to describe a particular aspect. For instance, what is the level of stress in various samples, in youth, in adults, in old age individuals? What is the level of stress during COVID? So, during COVID, if you have conducted a study on stress, that is a basic description of the aspect in there, of the variable in there. You can also do a study, you can conduct a study which is application based. For instance, you want to understand that, how a particular training program, while you are introducing it in an organization, how are individuals coping with it? Suppose we are doing a stress management program. So pre and post, we will see in that particular study that pre the study, what was the, before conducting the study, before conducting the intervention, what was the stress level in individuals? And after conducting the sessions, what is the stress level of the individual? So this is by and large an application-based study. There can be prediction-based studies also. When you want to predict that, okay, if I introduce this particular thing, variable A in there, it is going to cause this. For instance, if I'm going to, increase the physical stress of an individual, it's also going to cause mental stress. So this is a prediction-based study. Another is you are trying to explain a particular aspect. For instance, there are a lot of very interesting studies which are done in qualitative research, wherein you study a particular culture and you're trying to explain why they are following a particular ritual or why they are into a particular behavior. So social psychologists do a lot of studies of which is an example of explanation of particular behaviors. And ma'am, there are certain topics also which are to be certain aspects while you consider a topic to be taken
because when
in
we talk about selecting a particular topic, there are various factors that affect the choosing or finalizing a particular topic. So as we can see here, the various factors that affect the selection of a particular topic is first of all the specialization. Okay. As MAPC students, you have taken a particular specialization in your second year. So that is either clinical psychology or counseling psychology or industrial and organizational psychology. So you have to ensure that the topic that you are taking has to be related to the particular specialization that you have taken. For instance, suppose you have taken clinical psychology as your specialization, and like if you are taking a topic on suppose let's say you want to study employee motivation and job satisfaction. So this is not related to the clinical psychology specialization. Okay. So this is more related to the OB area. So you have to keep this in mind, that whatever topic you are going to decide has to be related to the particular specialization that you have taken. Okay. Similarly, the next another factor that you need to keep in mind is that the topic needs to be research worthy. Okay. Research worthy, when we say, that means the topic that you are going to study has to have some usefulness, or it has to have some research worthiness, that research can be conducted on this particular topic. For instance, if you want to study the level of stress in different genders, okay. So if you want to see the gender difference in the level of stress, this is fine, but then it might not give you any it might not be very much useful to you if you just focus on finding the level of stress, gender difference in the level of stress. Okay. This in itself might not be that useful unless you add some other aspects like how the different genders perceive the level of stress, perceive stress in them, or what are the different factors that affect their level of stress, or what are the coping strategies they use to deal with stress. So while deciding on a particular topic, you have to see to this that the topic is research worthy. Okay. And also another thing is that the topic has to be relevant. Okay, relevance of the topic is very much required. It has to have certain implications. Okay, implications in the sense like, for example, if you take the same example like studying the stress, this thing. So the implication is that after studying the level of stress, finding out what are the factors affect that stress or the coping strategies they use, the particular sample that you have taken, they use different coping strategies, then the implication will be that certain intervention programs can be designed to enhance the coping with stress or enhance their mental well-being so that they are able to deal with the stress properly and their mental well-being is enhanced. Okay. So these are the implications. And at the same time, we also have to see to this that the topic needs to be very specific. Okay. Specific in the sense that suppose what are the variables that we are going to study, what is the main focus of the study, all these things need to be highlighted. Okay, so that is why whatever research topic that we are deciding, we have to ensure that it is very specific. For example, if you are studying employees, okay. So if you just say, I want to study stress and well-being or anxiety in employees or resilience in employees is a very broad area. Okay, so you have to be very specific which kind of employees you are going to study. Suppose if it is IT sector employees or banking employees, okay, or government sector employees or private sector employees, and then again you have to specify. So while deciding a particular topic, we need to keep in mind that the topic is very specific. So as you can see here, the topic, when we are going to decide on a topic, these are the various parameters that we need to keep in mind. This has to be very, it has to have a relevance, it has to be a research-worthy topic, it has to have implications, be specific in nature, okay. And of course, another important factor here is that the interest of the researcher. When we say interest, as a researcher, you have to see that in the particular specialization that you have taken, which population interests you, okay. Like for example, are you interested in to study children or women or older population or vulnerable population or migrant workers, or which kind of population, or children with special needs? So which kind of population you are interested in, and also in that particular population, which kind of issues you want to focus on. Okay, so these are the two things that you can think of while you are deciding about your interest in a particular research area. Okay. Now, when you're talking about, these are the different parameters that you need to keep in mind while deciding on a particular research topic. There are also different sources which you need to refer to collect studies, so that based on those studies you can find out which topic interests you. Okay.
Very true, true, Swati ma'am. There are a lot of times that we see a lot of things around us to which we want an answer.
Yeah.
And research is a very good method of finding an answer to the questions that you have. Now, you can pick up research topics in general of your interest by reading the newspapers, magazines, and something that you come across, something which is your problem, probably something which is a problem around. You can find out, and further you have to, once you have identified the research interest area, that okay, this is a problem I want to study, then the second thing you need to do is you need to refer to the researches which are done in that area.
Yeah, while referring to different sources of literature also, we also need to keep in mind that we have to frame an appropriate topic which is research worthy, and we have to select relevant study variables. Okay.
Indeed.
And those relevant study variables, when we are referring to different sources, the key here is to find the research gap. Okay, what are the research gap? in the existing studies, that will help us in framing an
A
appropriate
very good
topic.
example, Swati
Yeah.
ma'am. Nobody would want to reinvent the bulb when we have reached a level wherein we are utilizing the solar energy. Similar is with social sciences. There are a lot of variables which have already been studied, and their relationship is very obvious.
Yeah.
Their relationships has been studied since ages, and people have concluded on their final thing. There's no point studying those variables, but the researcher needs to find out the gap, that what exactly is missing in the answer that he or she is
Yes.
looking forward, while trying to understand that relationship. For instance, in today, stress has been studied, since ages. Effect of stress on human well-being, mental health. But if we see in today's times, we are using so many aspects of technology, that the intervention of these technologies as an aspect can be studied with stress and its effect on mental health.
Yeah, so when we are discussing this, like topic deciding on a topic is very important, and for that we have to do the review of literature. And when we do the review of literature, it helps us in finding out the research gaps. And also it helps us in providing us a particular theoretical framework, which will help us in interpreting our findings. Okay. And
Also,
there
it helps in defining your variables. Something which you
Yes.
have in mind, you have to put it in word, which is very important. And while you're reading through the researches, while you are referring to the sources, while you're referring to the magazines, material, articles written on that, you probably come down with an appropriate word that defines the aspect that you want to study,
Yeah,
which
the
is very
various
important.
sources of literature that we can talk
Indeed.
about, which ranges from like journals, books also.
Journals are variedly
Yes.
available. We can refer to the various online sources. We can also go to libraries to find journals. There are journals which are available in print. There are journals which are available online.
Yeah.
On Google Scholar is one of the portal wherein we can find a lot of researches. There are paid, unpaid versions. So we can find researches in terms of journals. We can find it.
Open sources.
Open sources
Yeah.
are also there. Commons knowledge is very much there. Similarly, we can find books also which are available freely on the websites, and we can also go to the library and refer to these books there. Also, at the same time, we can refer to the unpublished dissertations and theses which are there. There are a lot of times universities have put up these dissertations on the portals, but we need to also take care of plagiarism. We cannot really directly take the same topic and same material, because it's an ethical offense.
Yeah.
And but we can refer to the dissertation and thesis which are published and given on the websites of various universities, and also on government has made a lot of portals on which such dissertations and theses are available. That also tells you the present status of
Research,
study
yeah.
of those variables in your own country and the countries abroad. We can also refer to the project reports of students. Various projects are being done by students, by faculties, by researchers, and they are very application-oriented projects which are being done to find out real-time solutions to the society issues.
Yes. So here this also indicates that we need to discuss with the faculty, the like experts who are working in this particular field. So that also gives us an idea about the upcoming research areas or the current state of affairs in research. Here I would like to point out one thing is that when we are doing this review of literature, we need to be clear that there is a difference between reviewing the literature and then summarizing the literature. Many times what we find is that students usually go for summarizing the literature, that is they cite different literatures in the synopsis or in the project research report. So that we need to be very clear that it has to be discussed. When we say review, the studies, what are the studies that are there in the particular area, these need to be reviewed and discussed actually. Okay.
In very simple lines, I think, Swati ma'am, if I can put it, is you read a lot of researches and you conclude what exactly are these researches coming down to, and how are they leading you to conduct your own research is what we have to come. Also, at the same time, we'll have to cite these researches. For instance, if a research is indicating that stress is related to the superannuation of an individual, then bracket में you can cite the researchers which have said this, but at the same time continue your focus towards forming your research topic, that why you're coming down to concluding or doing this particular research.
So here one more thing, like when you're talking about the review of literature, the main objective is to find the research gaps.
Indeed.
So when you're, for example, if I give you an example, like you're studying resilience and adjustment in a vulnerable population, let's say. Okay. Now, resilience and adjustment is there, but what are the various studies have been already conducted, but suppose, let's say, locus of control has not been studied. So that is a research gap here. And then you want to focus on how exactly locus of control is contributing to this relationship between resilience and adjustment. So that way we have to be very specific, and this also leads us to the research questions. Okay.
Also, ma'am, I think students need to consider that what is the sample that we are trying to study while conducting this particular a particular research, and review should be very much in relation to it.
So all this review of literature, that leads us to the research gaps, identifying the research gaps, and then going to the rationale of the study, justifying the study. Okay. And then this also helps us to put the research questions, like for example, how the elderly staying alone, they are coping with various aspects of their life, or for example, like what are the strategies and the companies they need to follow to boost up their sales, or like studying the effectiveness of a particular therapy for a particular mental health problem. So these are the research questions. These research questions, they are in broad terms the questions that we usually raise while we are doing a particular research. Okay. And they are the ideas that we have for the research, we need to ensure that these ideas, they translate into researchable questions. Okay. So that is how we have to be very particular about when we are deciding on a topic to do research. And these research questions, they will lead to specific objectives and hypotheses. Okay. Research questions, sometimes they are also called as research problems. These are broader questions that we raise in any area of research. And these research questions will lead to specific objectives. Objectives, they will highlight what exactly we are going to study in this particular topic. Okay. And they are mentioned in very specific terms, and also stated in behavioral terms, like to study or to assess, to examine. Okay.
I think students can also understand with this that, your research problem is a bigger problem. To solve or to find out a solution for a bigger problem, you have to jot down these points into smaller objectives which contribute to answering the research problem. So objectives are going to be very direct questions which you put under test, or which you are planning to assess through your research.
Related to these objectives, we have to specify the hypothesis also. So hypotheses are like tentative assumptions about what we are going to expect for that particular objective that we are going to study.
And it is very important for us to also understand that these hypotheses are actually, and these objectives are actually coming from the review of literature that we do.
Yes.
So review of literature indicates the direction of the relationship that has already been indicated in the review, which means it has been already indicated by researchers that A is related to B in a positive way or a negative way, or A is affecting B. And that's what is leading for our to understand that, okay, this is a hypothesis which by and large a lot of researchers are saying, and I'm putting it under test through my research study.
So we need to be like while objectives, specifying the objectives or the hypothesis, we have to refer to the review of literature. Okay. And then while we are talking about these objectives and hypotheses, we also need to talk about the variables that are there. What are the variables that we need to we need to be very clear about what are the variables that we are going to study. And here also one more thing, the topic we have decided, but when we are framing the topic in the form of a title, that title we are giving, we need to ensure that it has to be very specific. I mean,
the title of variables should be
the title should not be very lengthy. It has to convey specifically what are the I mean, what are we going to study? The focus of the study.
A lot of times I've seen, ma'am, students write the research problem as a topic.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, we have to only write variables and what are we trying to study, and very, very to the point and in a crisp way also the sample on which we are trying to conduct the study, because our study, it requires to be very specific and systematic, like we started with the topic with. We cannot apply and generalize whatever we are getting to a larger population or sample.
Yeah, for example, if we say we want to study anxiety and stress in working population.
Indeed.
So working population is a broader
term.
population. So we have to specify which population we want to focus.
Are we talking about
like
IT sector,
yeah,
or we are talking about
school
media?
Teachers, yeah, whatever. That has to be specified.
Indeed. So we have majorly we have to understand that we have independent variables,
Yes.
dependent variables, which are to be mentioned in the topic. I'm not getting down to the other type of variables. There are other types of variables also, but what we mention in the topic is independent variable is whatever the individual is, whatever the researcher is manipulating, and dependent variable is whatever is the result of the manipulation, what we are trying to find. So for instance, I want to study that how this intervention is leading to change in a particular kind of behavior. For instance, how is CBT leading to or how is CBT affecting stress levels of an individual. So CBT becomes the independent variable, and dependent variable becomes the stress in there. We also need to keep in mind that our definitions needs to be operational. How I am defining stress, I have to be very specific. Whether I'm talking about physical stress, I'm talking about mental stress, what kind of stress am I talking about? When I'm talking about aspects of CBT, that is cognitive behavior therapy, what intervention am I applying? So my clarity of my variables should be there, and that is going to formulate my that is going to be in sync with my operational definition, which is also in sync with my tools that I am taking for the study. So operational definition is very important aspect that students have to understand, that it is something which you are mentioning in your topic. If I'm mentioning physical stress, that physical stress is physical stress as per the tool also, as per my understanding also, and I'll have to define that in my method.
So that means we have to be very clear about our variables, okay, because that's how our research will be like a worthy topic, okay, when we are talking about this. So at the end of it, we can see learners here, the key points that we covered today here is that how to decide on a research topic, okay, how to finalize on a research topic, wherein we discussed about how to do the review of literature. We differentiated it from the summarizing the literature and what are the different factors that we need to keep in mind while deciding on a particular topic. We also talked about research questions, objectives, hypothesis, and most importantly, the study variables that we are going to take. And one most important thing here is that in all these things, we have to be very clear about considering the ethical aspects in doing the review of literature, writing the review of literature also. Okay. So learners, thank you all, and if you have any queries, you can always contact on this email IDs. Thank you.